Do we have a rookie crisis on our hands at the moment in AFL Fantasy? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going through the trade targets for round 13 as we enter the second week of the bye and trades start to become a little bit more straightforward, I think is the way to describe it, given that teams are coming off bye, so it's definitely way more valuable to trade in guys that have already played their bye, given that you pretty much have about a 60-point head start over guys that don't, and especially in this environment with less rookies playing or less rookies actually playing full games. Like we saw Bice and Cleary interchange themselves for a total of 17 points, and I know some people had both, and they both lost, I think, 100k or so. They both lost about 50k, I believe. So you have that situation occurring as well. So anyway, let's jump into this video here. So Angus Clark is the obvious one, but I mean, most people got him last week. And so he's up to 33% ownership. He's 345k, went up 54k last week and is projected to do something similar. Yes, he went 42, but that was a really, really poor game for him, I felt. And I definitely feel like even if you take out the goals here, if he can just have a 15 disposal game, something like that, then that's probably going to be a 55-60 score, and that's all that we really need from these rookies at the moment. We need just cash generation from them, so I think he's actually a decent shout. Harry Boyd is on the bye, so actually doesn't even matter this week, but he hasn't mattered pretty much every single week since round two. And then you've got Ed Allen here, again, another guy who hasn't sat his bye, but he does have a little bit of a better bye comparative to most. And if we look here, in the last, he's actually been given games this year. He's been given 5 full games. And in those 5 full games, you'll see, if we take out 27 from his score, he's gone 3-2-4 in 5 games, which is an average of roughly 64. So he's averaged 64 in full games. I don't think you can, when you're getting him priced at about 48, I don't think you can basically do that. So yeah, I wouldn't be going there with Ed Allen. Riley Hardiman, a different story, it feels like, priced at 49 as well, averaging 52, has been sub on 2 occasions as well, so you take 32 out of his score, is 3-3-2. There is a little bit more of a leeway to him scoring, and that is a 66 average, so there's another couple of points of average there. The problem with him is, though, that he basically had this 106, and there's always the chance that Harry Sheezel goes back and that he doesn't get that role, but he's looked like a really good, for those that grabbed him in round sort of 11, that was a decent pick, but I don't think many would have picked him then. I just think it's that awkward price, and we really haven't seen a designated shift in his scoring dependent on the role when he gets, it's like even full games, he's scoring 40s. Same with Ed Allen. It's not like the Sheldrick where he went full games and he started going 80 plus. That's the difference between those type of guys. Isaac Keeler on the bye, but I think he'll be heavily traded in next week just because he'll have a 1 or 0 break even, as he's gone 65-66. I know he was playing in front of the ball against the Demons, but yeah, he had a really, really good game. But on the bye, Caleb Smith, he scored a 59. So yeah, like I was saying, it feels like when he's going to get full games, he's going to go sort of that 60 range. And so don't think you can trade him in just because you've got Clark, as well as you've got other guys that I think are going to get better roles. And we know that Short should be back post-bye for them. And that would probably deaden the role of Caleb Smith. Campbell Gray, there was some debate whether he would get dropped or not. I didn't go for him in fantasy because I didn't like his top out score feels like a 60 at the moment, and Bolter is coming back in for the Swans game. Don't even ask me why they're trying to win against the Swans. But anyway, Campbell Gray could potentially be dropped, but I suspect he potentially goes forward or something. They just want to get games into him as he's looked really, really good, and I don't think he deserves to be dropped. Oscar McDonald, Will Hayes, none of these guys I don't think are really going to play. Kai Lohman was an interesting one. If I had that extra sort of 50 to 75k, would have gone for him, I feel like. Round 16 buy is a little bit annoying comparative to other sort of rookies, etc., because that is the buy that everyone has guys on. But Kai Lohmann, if we look at DFS and we look at basically non-injury games in the last sort of 18 months, it was something that I think it might have been Didac, might have brought up at the sort of 6 to 8 weeks ago with the way that he was, let's actually just do it this way. There you go. The way that he was tracking with his injuries, you can see he averaged 66 adjusted last year. If we look at basically non-injury games for Kai Lohmann here, then we can go through and we can look at all of this here. And you'll see in his last, his last sort of 15 or so games, his last 16 games, he's averaged 64.4 in fantasy. You're getting effectively plus 24, probably plus 25, plus 26 on what he has long-term averaged, with the potential heights of like a 90 and scores like that when he played St. Kilda and stuff like that. So I think he's actually a really good potential selection because he actually doesn't rely on goals to score, which is kind of surprising. You can see a 0 goals 2 here for against St Kilda for an 89, where he had 5 marks and 8 tackles. So yeah, obviously might not have the tackling that he had last year, where he averaged 3 tackles a game. He's down at 1.6 currently, but that could easily get back up into the 3s, and suddenly you're looking at a guy who might be able to score sort of 70, 65 for a 4 or 5 game spurt, and he makes a bunch of cash. And if we just go here to, let's duplicate this, and let's just run the Lohmann at 65 projector. And we will see that it'll be in the forwards, but we will see, I'm pretty sure you'll see about 150k jump in 3 weeks at 65. If we just run that, you will see he goes up 46, 46, 40. So from 392 to 424 at a 65. And that is effectively 132k of cash gen. If we push this up to a 70, that suddenly jumps to a 50k, a 52 and a 47k cash generation, which is 149k of cash generation. So yeah, I could see him doing something like this, and maybe you have overall, let's put this at 65, but you have sort of an 85 somewhere in here, and suddenly you're getting 155, 160k of cash gen, something like that. You could even see it higher there, and suddenly you're getting some really, really good cash gen. So Lohmann's been a guy that I've really looked at if I can get the cash, but I don't know if I can, just because the midfield options are sort of a little bit weak in the this week off the bye, guys. So I've really been looking at other ways I can probably save a little bit of cash. And yeah, we'll look at those options potentially. Caleb Smith, I think, is just a placeholder for Errol Gulden, who's coming back post-bye. I just want to check the AFL injury list because I was more focused with the Swans about the Will Edwards and Logan McDonald, who you'll see here are, when they say 8 to 12 now, that is effectively season over. But we've got Errol Gulden 2 to 3 weeks. That'll mean he's 1 to 2 on their bye, which will mean he is going to be a 0 to 1 post-bye, which looks all but certain that he will be available in some form. Whether that is VFL is a different question. But yeah, you've got some players returning for Sydney with Wicks and Aaron Francis a test. Cunningham played in the VFL. Callum Mills coming back. So it could potentially hurt Sheldrick, but I think Sheldrick's been one of the shining lights in the last couple of weeks, especially around contest. So I think that'll be something that Sydney really need to hold some of their players to account. And that'll be why I don't think that'll matter too much for Sheldrick. Speaking of him, we have seen in the last couple of weeks, he has put up 83, 86, 88, and I feel like there's a breakout game coming here. You can even see the time on grounds improving. So that game against Carlton where he had 60%, it wasn't actually fitness related. It was just Sydney need to get their star players on. Sydney wanted to win that game, so they got their star players on, and it meant that he had that extra rotation on the bench. Now that that's not occurring in blowout games, he's getting the tog, he's getting the points, and I feel like there's a breakout game coming here somewhere where he scores a 120, and if it comes against Richmond, that will be greatly appreciated because a 120 would get him up so much cash. And yeah, kind of need him and some others to just have a big cash generation in the next couple of weeks, because I do want to make some big trades that will help out, I guess, just the team overall and get me one primo back. But yeah, no one else really matters too much on the break-even standpoint. We are expecting a Tom McCarthy debut for the likes of, where are they? Where is he? He would be in the 230Kers for, let's actually just bring him up, Tom McCarthy. Here we go. You've got Tom McCarthy here, defense midfielder, positioning. He's got a break even of 25, 230K. So he's definitely a guy that I've actually just considered off the pop if he plays to bring him in, just because he's got that dual position. He's also really scored well in the VFL, and if he comes in, he's going to just directly take that Ryan Marek role. And if he's doing better than Marek, intercept wise and also just defending wise, I feel like as well his ball use is probably a little bit cleaner than Marek. I feel like he's a guy that could average, well, straight away from the pop, he could average 80. He could be in one of those safe roles. So yeah, if he gets that same role that Marek got and isn't sub, then we're on to an absolute winner there, to the point that I'd almost be willing to go early on him at this point, given the rookie situation we've got, that we don't really have anyone in that, anyone below about 300K, 320K from memory. And as well as he's going into a role that we've seen before has scored 80 plus in Marek. And because Marek in the last couple of weeks has been pushed out to the wing in almost anticipation of McCarthy coming in. So yeah, I think that he's a guy that you can go to. Now on to the coach's choice and who they're bringing in. Let me guess, Bont, Kennedy, and someone else will be top. McCarthy will be top. Lohmann, Mitchell people are bringing in. I wouldn't be bringing him in because he is just going to be replaced by Errol unless they decide that Lloyd is done, as well as others, etc. So yeah, there's that there. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I suspect you will see Errol just come in for Caleb Mitchell. Hardiman, I understand that as well, given the fact that he scored 100 and he's in that North Melbourne halfback role, which can really score points. Graham Myers, this is points chasing. I feel like he's got that round 16 bye, which is really horrific. And he came against West Coast and did well. Like, that's the reason why I don't understand why people would be bringing him in. When you take out that West Coast game, 137, you take that out, that gets him down to, what's that, 7, 8, 9, minus 7 more, 782 through 9 games. That's an average of like 87, 86. Are you really going to bring in a guy that hasn't had his bye and averaging 87? Don't think so. Kennedy is one that I really like as well. I'm surprised he's not higher. I guess he is technically the second most traded in premium off the buy. Well, sorry, Connor Rozee is, but he's the third most traded in premium off the buy and the highest forward traded in off the buy. Understandable. Yeah. So you basically have high, and this is why it becomes simple, because you've got Bontempelli, highest traded in midfielder off the buy. You've got Connor Rozee, highest overall traded in defender off the buy. Matthew Kennedy, highest scoring forward off the bye, and you've got Tristan Cherry, the highest scoring ruck off the bye. Those are the four. And then you've got highest traded in player overall is a rookie that should be playing. And then you've got highest, next highest in is a rookie that is cheap but has a low break even. Understandable. And then you've got mid-pricer and then another cheap defender or forward. And then you've got another in Sheldrick and Clark as well. So these are all understandable and you understand the logic behind it. Dion Prestia, that's just a whirlwind. I feel like that's going to come down to earth. Nick Martin actually probably is going to score really well this week, but he's got that round 16 bye, so I have to wait until after round 16 basically to pick him up. Bailey Dale is an interesting one as well that I've definitely looked at. Libba, I just can't, with their midfield starting to really get back together. I just can't see Libba consistently scoring well, but he's averaged 105. So, I mean, it is what it is. What's his break even? Break even 94. So he's probably going to hold around that price as well. I just can't pay that much for a midfielder, I don't think. Whitfield are not off the buy. I just don't like this. Round 16 again, you're paying into that really bad buy round. Ed Richards and Jai Caldwell, another two that I've sort of looked at as well. Jai Caldwell actually could be an interesting selection. I do have to look at it because at 956k, with the role that you'd project him to get, yeah, he could actually just be a guy to grab. I just need to look at that role because basically he's averaged, if you look at it when he's actually fit, he's averaging, I would hazard a guess, about 105 or so. Probably even more. Let me just quickly go and take out 129 off his total. So 720 minus 129 equals that. Divide that by 5. And he's averaging 118 when he is basically fully fit. So yeah, I'm going to definitely look at Jai Caldwell as a potential guy to bring in, even though he's on the round 16 buy, because I feel like I can rejig guys around. And I'm basically getting a value player on round 16 rather than paying full price for a guy on round 16. Is my reasoning behind almost getting Jai Caldwell. So yeah, there's that. And basically the way I think it's not going to matter too much is that by round 16, I will basically have had already enough time to have traded out those guys on round 16, and I just get more value out of Caldwell, I think. But that's definitely something I've been sort of going, but the logic says no, but also it's Jai Caldwell. He is averaging 20 plus on his average. He can put a big dent into, well, cash generation, but also a lot of things in that sort of 3-4 week patch. If we just look at their fixtures at the moment, they've got Carlton, Geelong and Freo. And we look quickly now, because what we'll do for the next little bit is we will go and look at the best for the defense first position here, and we will go through the midfielders. We look here at the last 10 games in fantasy. For midfield, you've got who are they playing? Carlton are a minus 1.62. Is that injury related or anything? Wintagel went minus 22. Max Holmes went minus 31. And then you had who else? You had Nick Dacos go minus 31 as well. So, but in recent weeks, they've had, in round 10, they had two guys go big. So yeah, that's interesting. If we go last 5 weeks, Carlton are actually a plus 2.1. So that's a positive trend. And it says to me, especially that guys that really good fitness will overrun them because they tend to tire out, it feels like. And then, so they've got Carlton. They've then got Geelong, which is a plus 0.16. Jack Graham had a stinker against them. Joel Frazier. Then you had Zach Butters go a 46. Well, I don't know what the heck happened there. But yeah, that is interesting. But you've also had bigger scores there as well. So Geelong are a neutral is probably fair. And then he's also got, if we were to quickly look at Essendon again, Fremantle are a plus 2.03 in the last 5 weeks, sorry. They had a Nick Dacos stinker, a Ned Long stinker, and a Tom Green stinker back to back to back. But outside of that, they've actually been pretty good. So that's intriguing. And probably it's a very, very up and down. There's a lot more variable there. But if we were to look at players to target currently, you are looking for players off the bye, but whoever has Gold Coast, if we look at, let's just look at Ralph for a second here, because I did consider him. You've got Gold Coast. That's actually a really good matchup for Bailey Smith. Outside of that, I don't think anyone really looks into the Gold Coast matchup. Then you've got North Melbourne. North Melbourne have West Coast. West Coast, you're not really targeting a mid per se, so I wouldn't be targeting that. Richmond have Sydney. Sydney still have to sit their bye, so do Richmond, but a plus 4.6. Maybe you could target a Heaney, but I wouldn't be targeting him. Maybe this just helps out an Angus Sheldrick or something like that, because if we look at them, it is heavily weighted with Merritt going big. Jai Caldwell as well. Luke Parker went a 36 against them, and the James Walpole 56. So yeah, that's actually interesting. But like guys like Jack Graham went 104, LDU, Tom Powell, etc., George Wardler. So this could actually be a really good game for Sheldrick. So I wouldn't be trading in Sheldrick, but I wouldn't be obviously trading him out. Just hope for a big 90 plus score. Essendon, who have, if we go to Martin again quickly, they've got Carlton off the bye. Could you look at potentially like a Cripps or something like that? Let's look at Cripps here. Cripps is averaging for the year 93.5, and basically had a stint, 3 or 4 game stint there where he averaged a 5-game stint where he went 80, 88, 53, 84, 82, which is basically an average of about 70, it feels like. Maybe 75, 88 plus 80 plus 53 plus 84 plus 82. Divide that by 5. You get 77.4. You take out those, which is a large chunk of games, which you really shouldn't do. Then you'd have him probably averaging over the 100 marker, I would think. Yeah, it's about 650 in 6 games. So maybe you could take a flyer on Cripps, but I wouldn't maybe be doing that. I'd be maybe looking at Walsh is probably the better bet, I would say. If you were to look at targeting guys, I know he's averaging 94, but he feels like the guy that could have better upside, especially coming off a bye as well. He's probably better rested as well because you have seen his game time sort of lag in recent weeks. Essendon won't tag, I don't feel like. And then you've got, or at least they won't tag Walsh. And then you've got the Eagles and North. So I think that fixture really could actually do well for a Sammy Walsh as a pod pick potentially. So yeah, but that would be high risk, high reward. But I think the stats do tend towards him being a decent pick. If we just go to other statistics here, there's one more set of statistics that I want to see. And it is team averages. I think this is the one that I want. Playing plus minuses for and against. So you've got against here. Let's go to, we want the turnover team. So you got West Coast, Essendon, Sydney, Richmond. Yep. So West Coast transition. So North Melbourne should actually have a really good week, especially their ball users. And we are looking at currently the Walsh against Essendon. If we go back to, I think is it this one here? This one here, Essendon transition, 51 points. If we now go to, where are they? Carlton here, and look at their stats in particular, and look at their transition or turnover, players. You've got Haynes, Silvani, Wiedering, Holland, McGovern, Sard, Chera. Sam Walsh is at a 39.5. He's more ball up and throw-in based. If we go back to here as well, for Essendon, they are, so maybe not actually a Sam Walsh, maybe more of a whoever's on kick-ins for Carlton, which there isn't really a major actually guy looking at that and thinking about it. But yeah, that's interesting that this stat seems to be going a little bit. Let's look at last 5 games just to sort of confirm this. You've got another big turnover differential for Essendon. I think that is mostly to do with their game against the likes of Brisbane. Let me just double check this. If we go to here and we go to the game against Brisbane, they had 7-2-3. If we go to Brisbane statistics as well, I just want to double check that my thought process would be right in saying that I would think that Brisbane would have smashed them on that. Yeah, look at that turnover differential, 11.64 compared to 7.23. So actually, if you take that into account, they've beaten them by 440 across one game. If you think about that, equates to about a plus 90 or so differential in a 5 week comparative to what they should be at. So in a 5 week, that's about a plus 92. So they're actually in the other 4 weeks a plus 8. So actually not the best matchup. And then in the 10 weeker, that would be equating to about 46, I think. And a 46 puts them basically at a plus 5. So they're actually down here. So their statistics aren't actually as kind as what they are, just because of that blowout with with that game against Brisbane. So there's that. So maybe Walsh isn't actually the best play there. Then we look back at, let me just move that over there. Then we look back here. Any other guys? West Coast we saw. So the North Melbourne mid should do well. The Rucks department, it's actually Port Adelaide in the last 5 weeks, and West Coast has dramatically dropped. I think because that the Max Gawn game has gone out of the system. but they're still, oh, and they also had Reece Stanley and Blicavs both go. They had a dual ruck, and that's why those statistics are down. But if you take the other games in that system, you got 38, 61, 38. So that is a 138. So 136 in the other 4 weeks. Divide that by 4, and you get about a 36 or 37 plus. So it's still 36 or 37. And you'll see it, I think, in here as well. West Coast still plus 15.6. Interesting that they're not as good. But yeah, you still have Port Adelaide, West Coast, Richmond are the plus rucks. Who do Port Adelaide have? That is, we can actually go through there. They've got no Briggs for GWS, so there's no real matchup there that you can take advantage of. If we look back, West Coast have North Melbourne, so that should be a Tristan Cherry ruck matchup heaven for that. And then Richmond have Sydney, so Brody Grundy, decent enough pod, but I'd still be going the Cherry Gawn combo. Then quickly, we're looking at wing defenders, Essendon, Western Bulldogs, and North Melbourne. So that is Carlton. So that is, again, Sammy Walsh in a way. Should be a decent enough pick there. Western, let's just quickly check that it's, if you go through Essendon, not really anyone considered there as well. Just, that's really a hard category to look at. But if we go to designated kickers, again, their plus 5.78 is Essendon. And they've given up some decent scores. Even Bailey Dale went 154. So there's no real designated kicker for Carlton, but that would have been a really good matchup. Melbourne, I don't know who they necessarily have. Who do Melbourne have? Let's just go and get Gawn in here. They've got Collingwood, so Josh Dacos should probably do really well. So will Dan Houston, I suspect. So there's that one there. As they've given up some decent scores in the last couple of weeks. I expect probably a 105, 110 from Josh Dacos. And then Essendon again here, Richmond as well. They've got Sydney. So that could actually help out Matty Roberts there as well. Given that Sydney are probably going to have Callum Mills come back in for a Riley Bice, I expect. And then potentially like a Tom Hanley for Cleary type of scenario. So that'll mean that I suspect more duties come on to Roberts there, and that'll help him out, I suspect, would be the case. But we'll wait and see on that front. But yeah, that pretty much is the video there. I think I haven't missed anyone particularly that has a really good matchup that is really easy to tell. Quickly looking at the outs, you've got Bice, Ashcroft, Cleary, understandable trainer. His role looks shot, just his cash generation. And then Ryan Marrick as well. His role has changed. We expect McCarthy to take that over. Zach Reed injured, O'Hooley injured. Hugh Boxall probably can. His role looks really bad, but also on the bye. Wouldn't probably be trading him out if you can trade out guys like Cleary, Ashcroft, and Bice before him, because they're going to probably go down in cash as well. And Hugh Boxall could actually come back in a game and just do fine. He's got a 33 break even, so cash isn't going to be the biggest issue, I don't think. Marshall, I think people are understanding that experiment is cooked. He's got Western Bulldogs and Collingwood post bye as well. If we look at that, Western Bulldogs are now a negative ruck matchup, and Collingwood are also if we just check here, Collingwood are a -2 matchup as well in the last 10. If we look last 5 for those two as well, you will see Western Bulldogs plus 1.979, sorry. And then you've got Collingwood -7.21. So you can see the matchups just flip. So that's why that's the case. And Harvey Langford as well, he's starting to lose cash as well. So I'd be trading him out. And then you've got more injuries as well here and there. But anyway, that is the video there for AFL Fantasy. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. And I will see you guys back here for the Supercoach trade targets for round 13, as well as my team reveals for both Fantasy and Supercoach. See you guys then. Bye, guys.